we're broadcasting live from Palm Beach. It's a good thing we're live because otherwise I wouldn't like the alternative. We have on the phone with us Greg Halloway. Greg, how you doing tonight?
Fine, how are you?
All right. I think everybody is looking at a chart of gold right now. Yep. Looks like everybody can see that just fine. Greg, this is the Kitco 24-hour spot gold showing the last 3 days trading action of gold. And
okay.
If you'd like to comment on that, give us a little gold update while we're letting people sign in. And by the way, folks, if you don't mind, go ahead and sign in as we're doing this. You know how to do it. Just type your name in the question area. Appreciate that.
Okay, folks, gold has built a strong level of support at approximately the $1,220 price level. The significance of that particular number is that is the all-time high that was reached last December before the market retreated and came down to a low of, I believe, 1,068. So last December, gold hit a record high of 1,220. It did not stay at that level, but for just a very brief period of time, and then retreated quickly and dropped down to a low of 1,068. Since then, it remained at its bottom point, 1,068, for a very short period of time, quickly bounced off of that, and has steadily been trading at above 1,200 now for a considerable length of time. When gold hit 1,220 back in December, it only stayed above 1,200 for a few days. So the significance of this is that it is continuing to build comfort levels or levels of support at a significantly higher number. Prior to gold hitting 1,220 back in December, that comfort level or support level was around 1,100. And then gold made a run up to 1,220 and then retreated back again. Well, now it's been staying consistently above 1,200 in that range for a considerable length of time now, building this new support level, which in my opinion is looking forward to a launch toward an even higher number now into the 13s or 14s. So that's my take on how it looks. Gold continues to be in a bull market, running 10 straight years of having closed out each year higher than the year before. So that puts it in a unique category of assets for the 21st century, making it the only one to be consistently going up in value. The marketplace is clearly telling us that there is no confidence in paper money, whether it's dollars, whether it's euros, whether it's pounds. Gold has been setting records in all three currencies. Gold recently surpassed 1,000 euros for the first time, which is an incredible jump from where it was a year ago. It's gone up about approximately 50% in euros in the past year. And the significance of that is that people looked at the euro as an alternative to the dollar, as potentially even an alternative so large that they were calling that possibly the new world reserve currency. Well, that has been shaken pretty badly with the financial troubles that have emanated in Greece and have started to follow Europe around to the other countries. So this situation with the fallout from Greece needing to be bailed out has shown that the EU is vulnerable, that the policies that allowed the EU to adopt a common currency are not as rock solid as many people thought, and that has shaken the world quite a bit. It wasn't that long ago, 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, that people were even saying that they don't want to take their pay in dollars, they want it in euros because they don't trust the security and safety of the dollar. Well, I see money managers just doing a continual leapfrog from running from place to place, trying to figure out where to put their money in a desperate attempt to try to protect themselves. And the bottom line conclusion is there isn't any safety in any of the currencies. They're all a house of cards, and the marketplace is clearly stating that they believe they're all a house of cards, and that's why we're seeing record highs in all currencies. This trend is going to continue, in my opinion, because of the fact that there is no political will to solve this severe problem. The governments of the major world economies are well aware of the problem. They know that we have a serious financial problem, so much so that even the head of the Federal Reserve commented earlier this week that the United States is on an unsustainable fiscal course. So these types of comments only underscore the fact that the government is well aware of the situation, but there's no political will to do anything about it. It's really, if you think about it, it's like as if we were in Hawaii on Pearl Harbor during the invasion of December 7th, and everyone is asleep. The invasion's coming, and it would be like saying, okay, we know it's coming, and we're not going to do anything to protect ourselves. That's basically what our government is doing.
Okay, Greg, I've got the national, the U.S. debt clock up right now. That's what's showing on the screen. Is your computer ready to go yet?
A couple more minutes. It's,
okay. Well, what we're looking at right now is the U.S. debt clock, and I'm highlighting the actual U.S. national debt. As most people know, last week it turned over $13 trillion for the first time. When Obama took office, it was about $10.4 trillion, and in just a year and a half, it's grown to $13 trillion. So if you want to comment on that, and then I'll show the unfunded liabilities, which are really interesting.
Well, you know, I guess there are more than one debt clock out there, because I understood that the number was actually 13.8 trillion from clicking onto a debt clock. So maybe there's more than one.
This is the one that seems to get the most hits. It's usdebtclock.org, and it's showing it at 13.085 right now.
Okay.
But you know, I guess there's different ways that people calculate it, but it was on several of the news stations the other day that it did click over last week to $13 trillion. So even the liberal news stations acknowledge that.
Okay. Well, that falls in line, of course, with the government's projections that it's going to hit 22 trillion by the end of the decade, and that's why the alarm bells are being sounded by not radicals, but our own head of the Federal Reserve. So if the Federal Reserve is making these statements, you know, why is nobody paying attention? Well, we can't stop the government. The bottom line is that we can't stop them. Tommy, you can show my screen now. I got it up now.
Okay.
We can't stop the government. There's no political will to solve the situation. They're not going to do anything about it. They're going to just let it crash. So we've just got to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
It's all, every man for himself, unfortunately, because just like a coming invasion, I mean, there's no army to protect us. They're all asleep.
Asleep at the switch. One thing I just want to show real quick, if you can see this, Greg, this is, they got it down at the bottom, but to me it's the most important number of all on this page, is the unfunded liabilities. That's now up to $109 trillion. Last week on the Monday night call, Greg, Gary, and Chris about the unfunded liabilities. And this is mainly Medicare and Social Security, but this dwarfs the national debt. This is liabilities, monies that the government is committed to pay, but that there's no funding for. There's no budget item for it, and so they just sort of ignore it. They acknowledge the $13 trillion debt, but this is just as much debt. And so when you put this $109 trillion plus the 113 plus the 13, the real national debt is about $122 trillion.
No, it's this is very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and make you the presenter so that we can get started with the PowerPoint. All right.
Okay.
Let's see here. And you are now Mr. Presenter.
Okay. Okay.
Once again, a reminder, if you haven't signed in, please do so. There's quite a few people online. Good attendance tonight, by the way. Thank you for all being here. But there's quite a few that have not signed in, and it always is very helpful if you do sign in. Should be seeing this now.
Okay. Okay. We've gone through our gold market update there with our stacks of gold coins there. I want to mention to you all that I'm, Tom, are you done talking, or should I go ahead and start it?
Oh, yes, please. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have been traveling throughout Europe buying coins for the collection that we are seeking to assemble. But while I'm here, I'm also buying bullion American gold coins. This is not the reason why I came here, but I am taking advantage of an opportunity to buy them nonetheless. So while my belief is strongly that you will profit more by owning the rarities as opposed to the common bullion items, should you decide that you want some of these in your portfolio, please get a hold of Tom and myself, and I can discuss in greater detail what I can get, because it is cost advantageous to take advantage of the prices that they are in Europe, because they are a little cheaper here. So I'll save you some money on that. Okay. Tonight I'm continuing the series that I've started to explain in greater detail the different types of coins that I've selected for what we plan to be the world's best collection. There are literally millions of different types of coins. If you walk into a coin convention, you will be overwhelmed. There will be not a few dozen or a few hundred, if not even a few thousand. There'll be hundreds of thousands of coins at a typical large coin convention. Some booths at a convention may have as many as 50,000 coins at a single booth. Well, they'll have them in crates and boxes and bags. sitting on the floor behind their table, offering them to bulk buyers who will want 1,000 of this type or 5,000 of that type. How do I know? Well, because I've been a bulk seller of stuff like that over the years. I have been in situations where I've sold 10, 20,000 coins at a coin show before, and that's just me, one guy. So there are loads of coins available. So walking around a coin show can easily become overwhelming, and you don't know what to buy. You've heard it said, well, rare coins are a good investment, but where do you start? There's so many of them. It's like going onto a beach and saying that seashells are a good investment, and there's a million of them there. Which one are you going to pick up? What I've done is try to simplify this so you can understand. But when you buy rare coins, you start with doing research. Just like when you go out to buy a new car, you don't walk into a dealership and just write out a check for the first thing that you set eyes on. No, you're going to do some research first on what's the best car for my family. Does this get the best fuel economy? What's the service record for this? What's resale value? So on and so forth. When you go to buy a house, you're going to analyze it first and do some research. Well, same with rare coins. I've done considerable research over my 40 years of being in the rare coin business since I decided to make my hobby my profession. And using these years of research, I've determined what are the best things to buy. So tonight I'm going to be talking about a particularly special coin that's called the Crown. And it's definitely an integral part of our plan for the world's best coin collection. So what is a crown anyway? Well, this is a term that is used to describe the largest regularly issued silver coin of each country of the world. You're looking at a silver dollar that was made in 1921 for the United States, and this coin, while called a $1 coin, as you can see on it, is considered a crown. So this is a large coin. It has about 3/4 of an ounce of silver in it. So it's a very nice looking coin. So the history of the crown is quite interesting to study because history plays quite a bit in the value of rare coins. The first crowns were made in a hammered process. Today, coins are made by steam presses, and they're cranked out by the millions. But in the early days, they were handmade. The coiner had to first cut with big scissors, as you can see on the left, the metal into round discs, or called blank planchets. So they start with a blank round piece of metal that the coiner had to cut into as close as possible into a round circle. And then you saw the guy on the right with his hammer hitting the round piece of metal with a die. Now, what is a die? Well, a die is a heavy piece of metal where an engraver has engraved into the die the design of the coin. So when the coiner hits the hammer onto that die, that impression then gets sunk into the metal beneath it. So he's got one die that the coin is resting on top. That would be one side, or the obverse. And then the reverse die would be sitting on top of the blank planchet so that he'd have an impression struck on both sides when he hits it with his hammer. This is called a hammered coin. Now, the first crown goes way back into history, into the Middle Ages, and you're looking at a German crown from 1486. The Germans were the first country in the world to make large silver coins, and that's the first crown. The Germans called them thalers, T-H-A-L-E-R. Numismatists today refer to any large silver coin as a crown, as I mentioned earlier in the slides. So again, the definition is the largest silver coin of any country in the world would be called a crown. So a half dollar, for instance, would not be called a crown, only the dollar would be. So the dollar, being the largest coin of the United States, would therefore be the crown of the United States. So this is the first crown from 1486, and this was made in Germany. This is the first English crown made by Edward VI, showing him regally riding his horse that's all covered in the coat of arms of England and his shield and crown and his sword. This crown was made in 1551, would be a large silver coin also, about almost 3 inches in diameter, so quite large, impressive coin. This is the first crown of the New World. This coin was made in Mexico and is called an 8 reals. Now, if you look at the back, you see the twin columns. That is the beginning point of the origin of the dollar sign. Later on, it had a ribbon swirling around the columns, and that's where we get our dollar sign from. This coin also from the Middle Ages. It was made in approximately 1635, a very rare coin. Now, this coin may not look like much because it's fairly crudely made, but believe it or not, it's worth about $300,000. There are only 3 of them known to exist, so it's a very important crown of the New World from North America. And Mexican coins are obviously quite desirable, as you can see from this piece. This is the first United States crown, the Continental Dollar. This was made in 1776. You can see the date down there below. And this coin is also quite valuable. Today, it's worth about $250,000 in top condition. Ironically, this coin has a very tainted history in that it's the first United States currency to have hyperinflated. Not too many people know what I'm about to tell you, and that is that the United States has already been through hyperinflation with our first currency. We're not on, the American currency we have today is the 3rd dollar that we have. We're on our 3rd currency right now. For all of those of you who are on the line tonight who might be listening into the seminar that's coming up that Tom's going to be giving at 8 p.m., this is an interesting history lesson that the United States is currently on our 3rd currency. So who's to say why there's any reason why we wouldn't consider getting rid of the present one and going to a 4th? It's not like there hasn't been a precedent established. We've already done it before in the past. Well, in 1776, we had our first dollar, and it was, by the time 1791 rolled around, its value had dropped to a penny and was then replaced by the next currency, which was the first United States currency. So our first currency, our first crown, the dollar, dropped in value by 99% from 1776 to 1991, our first hyperinflation. It's a beautiful coin, though, and today collectors revere it as a great piece of American history. Most countries of the world made crowns, and as a result, there are many collectors of crowns who look upon all the different crowns of the world as something very, very interesting to build collections of. Gold crowns are presentation pieces that were made for royalty. Here is one that was made for Charles II in 1662, and this particular piece is worth about $150,000. There are 4 known to exist, and is one of the great rarities when occasionally crowns were made in gold. Now, this is not the most valuable gold crown. I forgot to put the picture in of it. There is one that was made for Queen Victoria in 1847, and that one is worth approximately $600,000. So that's the most valuable gold crown at the moment, the Queen Victoria specimen. The gold crowns are exceptionally desirable for their presentation pieces. What happened is that the king or queen, recognizing the significance of the crown as being the major circulating coin of the realm, had occasionally had them made in gold as a presentation piece to be kept by the king or queen. And a few of those have made it out into the public hands. Most of them are in the British Museum. To the best of my knowledge, no other country in the world ever made gold crowns other than Great Britain or the British Empire. So these are particularly wonderful pieces. As I said, most of them are in the museums. The most valuable crowns in the world. Now, I'm going to go through a series of these coins to show you what these can be worth. Here is a picture of the first American silver dollar, made in 1794. Now, this coin was offered for sale in 1984 at an auction held in Texas. I'm sorry, it was held in New York, rather, and it sold for approximately $240,000 in 1984. The last sale was a couple of weeks ago for $7.9 million, which has set a new record for a silver crown. So that's a lot of money. Now, there are 140 of these known to exist. This is the finest of the 140 known to exist, so it's a very fabulous coin. Extremely desirable, and there you have it, nearly $10 million for a crown. So I show you this picture so you understand that crowns are extremely desirable and quite valuable. Obviously, a major collector thought it was worth shelling out this much money to have the first American silver dollar. This is another famous crown, the 1804 silver dollar from the legendary King of Siam set. This piece is currently worth $7.5 million. This particular coin has a famous history associated with it. It was given as a diplomatic present to the King of Siam, along with the rest of the coins made at that time, in a special presentation box that was made. The King of Siam later passed it down to his son, who gave it to the school teacher, Anna, that he hired to teach his children. If you've ever seen the movie The King and I, you'll know what I'm talking about. Anna brought that set back to London, where it resided for many decades. Then it finally ended up making its way to America, where I was fortunate enough to be in the lineage of owners of this coin, to have bought it and resold it. And when I had this item, it set a new world record that was maintained for 9 years, that was only broken by the same coin reselling again for even more money. So you see, crowns can be worth some serious money. This is another famous coin. This is the rarest, most famous of all the English crowns. It was made in 1663. Now, why is this particular coin so famous? Thomas Simon was the engraver during the Civil War in Great Britain. The leader of Great Britain had been Charles I, who was beheaded and replaced by a commoner who took over as Lord Protectorate, as his name was called, to rule over England. His name was Oliver Cromwell. Well, the people of England decided that they weren't really so happy with having a commoner rule England after all, and Oliver Cromwell ended up being replaced by Charles II. So all that blood and violence for nothing, and the monarchy continued without a break with Charles I's son, Charles II, taking over. Well, during the Civil War, Thomas Simon was the engraver of the mint, and Charles II promised Thomas that he would have the position when he took over and when he resumed his power. This all took place during his exile. Well, when Charles II got into power, he didn't hire Thomas Simon, who became quite upset. So Thomas Simon created this crown to give it to King Charles II and made it far more elaborate than the coins that were typically made at the time, so that he could showcase his artistic skills. So this coin has been made in a high relief, very bold design, and in addition to that, it has very fine detail on all the hairlines of Charles II. And finally, I should show the edge in another photo, but I forgot to put it in here. He engraved all the way around the edge in 2 lines to show his amazing talent, because this is a coin that's very narrow in its thickness, and in 2 lines around the edge he has what's called the petition, hence the name, the Simon Petition Crown, where he makes a petition to Charles II saying that if His Majesty is so impressed with his workmanship in creating this coin that he might relieve the Rothschild brothers as chief engravers and replace them instead by giving Thomas Simon the job. Well, despite his work and petition, Simon doesn't get the job, and this coin goes down in history as the most famous of all English coins. Now, this coin...
Back then, protests were a little milder. If he'd really protested too much, he might have gotten his head chopped off, right?
Yeah, that's right. So there are 13 known Simon Petition crowns, and there are 15 known 1804 silver dollars. Now, I'm contrasting these 2 coins for a reason. I used to own the 1804 dollars, so I can talk about it in a way that maybe other people couldn't. So I have a lot of respect for this coin, don't get me wrong. It's a very famous American treasure, but it's $7.5 million. The Simon Petition crown is slightly rarer at 13 pieces known versus 15. It's quite a bit older, 1663 versus 1804. And it also has a very important story to it and a tremendous pedigree. So it's got everything that the 1804 dollar has going for it, but it's less than 1/10 the price. That's right, it's only 9 cents on the dollar. Now, to put our money where our mouth is, we bought this coin because we thought this is too good to be true, and we had the chance to buy the finest known example of the Simon Petition crown, and we bought it. And one of the good friends of Tom has bought this to add to the collection that we're building. So this is in our little group, so to speak, and this great rarity is now in our group's control. And I'm excited about it because it was an absolute bargain for the comparative value. Now, going back to the 1804 silver dollar, when I first started my career, this coin could have been bought for $100,000. So that gives you an idea of how much it's gone up over the years, and just shows you the opportunity with how undervalued English coins are at roughly 10 cents on the dollar. That's why I'm in Europe, folks. It's not to pick up a few $20 gold pieces. Granted, if you want some, I'll be happy to do that for you and save you some money, but that's not why I'm here. I'm here to look for things like this. So we only want the best, as we just underscored. The Simon Petition crown we bought is the finest of the 13 known, and I wasn't satisfied just buying an average one. No, I hunted until I found the best one. and that's what we want for you. We only want the best. See, coins are graded on a 70-point scale, 1 being the worst, being so damaged that you can virtually hardly tell what it is, 70 being the best, being absolutely perfect. So the Simon Petition crown that we found was a grade of 63, which is bearing down on the top end of the scale, so it was an exceptional piece. Now, the crown is the most widely collected silver coin in the world. It might actually be the most widely collected coin period in the world. There are more crown collectors, to the best of my knowledge, than any other type of coin, bar none, in the world. It's heavily collected. People collect crowns in many different ways. Some people collect just crowns of the United States. Some people collect crowns just of Great Britain. Some people collect crowns just of Mexico. Some collect crowns of just the Spanish Empire. Some people collect crowns of each country. Some collect them by type, meaning one of each different design. Some of them collect them by date and mint, meaning every single one that was minted of the same design of all the different years that were made. For instance, the peace dollar I showed you at the beginning of the slide was made from 1925 until 1935. So it was made for 15 years at 3 different mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Lots of people like to collect all of them made at all the different mints. Some people just want one nice peace dollar, and that they build a typeset of all the different crowns of the world. To give you an idea of what American coins are worth, a complete set of United States crowns minted from the first one in 1794 to the last one in 1935 in the best condition available would cost you about $250 million. So if you want your collection of U.S. crowns, that'll set you back a cool $250 million. So if you're listening in and you're a billionaire, then that's for you. But if you're not a billionaire listening in, then take a look at this. A complete set of English crowns minted not for just a couple hundred years, but throughout the last 500 years in top condition is only $10 million. Now, if that doesn't strike you as mind-boggling, I don't know what will. That's an incredible difference in value for something that contains, one, a heck of a lot more coins, spanning hundreds of years more of history, plus there are just as many rarities in the English set as there is in the United States set, actually more. So there are more major rarities in the English set than in the United States set, yet we're only talking about pennies on the dollar. This is the reason why I'm in Europe, because this opportunity is so overwhelming. Now, this is what a certified crown looks like. If you're new to the seminars I'm giving and don't have the background yet to understand all this, coins are now certified by third-party services that work kind of like Standard & Poor's and Moody's do for stocks. They don't buy and sell coins, but they simply certify them themselves. And here's a coin that's been certified in a hard plastic holder, and it's got the certification slip in the holder with the coin, and that tells you what the grade is right there in the center. This particular coin is a grade of 65. There's its date. It was made in 1880. The S stands for San Francisco, and that stands for silver dollar. So that has all the information that you need to know to determine what it is. So coins in Europe are not largely certified yet. The reason why coins have gone up so much in Europe is because of the fact that we've had the reason why coins have gone up so much in the United States is because we've had a major modernization of the market. As a result, Tom and I have created what we call the blueprint for $1 billion gain. In the United States, a series of events took place over the last 4 decades that transformed and modernized the market from a sleepy hobby into a gigantic business where today billions of dollars worth of rare coins trade hands every year. None of this happened in Europe until just recently. The systems are now being built to modernize the market in Europe. As a result, Europe's rare coins are about to experience a tremendous increase in value the way American coins have already done so. That is the reason why there's such a big difference in value between the two. At one time, the coins of the British Empire were worth the same of the coins of the United States. There are probably just as many collectors of both. But the U.S. market experienced an explosive growth in values as a result of the maturation of the market due to the series of steps that took place that we call the modernization of the coin market throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Since this is only now starting to happen in Europe, we believe that the opportunity exists to get in now before the market experiences a similar rapid increase. The encouraging part about this is that since there has the English coins have basically approximately 100-year history of unbroken continuous market gains, that you have a strong base of support and a secure knowledge of knowing that the coins are unlikely to ever go down in value. At this point in time, you have the opportunity to buy these great rarities for pennies on the dollar and have the confidence and security of knowing that this is at a low price that you're buying into, so your downside risk is extremely low, as based on the fact that we have had this secure market for 100+ years. Tom, anything to add, and any questions we might have?
Well, excuse me. I do want to throw it open for questions here. This is the point, folks, where you get involved. And instead of listening, it becomes interactive. That's one of the reasons why we ask people to sign in at the beginning, so that you know what a question panel is. And for those of you that have already signed in, you know exactly what to do. Just go ahead and the same place where you put your name in at the beginning, start typing your questions. For those of you that haven't signed in yet, all you have to do is go over to the little blue, light blue panel that came up when you opened up this webinar, and you'll see a word question there. Click the plus sign, that will open up, and you just can type your questions in there. Because unfortunately, we can't have this many people on an open line. The sound would just be too great. Let me, while people are doing that, let me just make a couple of quick announcements. We're going to be starting a very special educational series 2 weeks from today. Now, this is not going to be in the evening. It's going to be at noon, and we're doing it that way for several reasons. This is going to be what we call our Essential Knowledge series, the Gold 101 to 401. This is our basic webinar, the very first one that Greg ever did, using gold to hedge against inflation, the basic fundamental knowledge about gold and rare gold coins, the intermediate, which has a lot of information about how coins are graded, very, very interesting seminar. The advanced webinar, which talks about specifically what makes a coin, one rare coin, more valuable than another. The different components of things that go into the combination of things that make coins valuable. And then the PhD level webinar, as Greg calls it, where he goes into great detail on the plan, how it's going to work, and how you can participate. And that's the culmination of the whole thing. He's done these webinars before, but we're going to redo them, and they're, as we talk, they're being revised and updated, and we want to re-record them so that the ones that we're giving out as recordings are better quality. But also, we're getting more and more people who are in Europe and for them, this time of night is not a good time. This is midnight for most people in Europe. And so we're going to try doing daytime classes. If we get a good response, we may continue that. But in addition, there's retired people, people that, for whatever reason, the evening time is not a good time for them. So if you or anybody you know would find a daytime class helpful, or if you or anyone you know just wants to learn the basics, or if you want to go back and circle around and refamiliarize yourself with these, or a lot of you may have been attending these webinars for a while, but just in recent months, and you didn't get the basic ones, so you're missing that foundation. I want to encourage you to be there. We're giving you plenty of advance notice. It doesn't start for 2 weeks. The first one will be on the 23rd. So it's going to be the last 2 Wednesdays of June and the first 2 Wednesdays of July. So it'll start on the 23rd of June, end on the 14th of July, and it's going to be at noon Eastern. So mark that on your calendar. And also, another announcement, Greg mentioned it, this is not normally our night to do the gold webinars, but for a couple of reasons we shifted it to tonight. So tonight you have the opportunity to double your pleasure, double your fun. Remember the old double mint chewing gum commercials? Tonight you had the chance to attend 2 webinars. I'll be doing one tonight. Doesn't sound like a lot of fun, the cancer of inflation. Sounds kind of ominous, but it's really a lot of good information that you can use to start protecting your family. And what we're going to do is, in a way that we haven't done before on the Monday Night webinars, really explain what inflation is in a way that is thoroughly understandable, but not to just leave you hanging with the bad stuff. We're going to give you the answer, how we can heal ourselves from it. So if at all possible, that'll be starting in about an hour and 10 minutes. Try to be on the 8 o'clock webinar. If you don't know how to get on there, if you haven't got an email for that, just call the office at 561-753-5998, 561-753-5998, and someone here can give you it. But a lot of you are on both lists. Just in case you don't know, we have 2 different lists. One for the Monday night investor education webinars for people that are interested in those, and then we have a separate list for the people that come to the gold webinar. So if you want to be on both of them, you have to request that. And it's real easy to do. Just either write to the email address on the screen there, or call the telephone number, which just magically appeared on your screen, I believe. Let's see. Did it appear? Is everybody seeing the phone number now? Let's get a hold. Okay. All right. Are you able to see the telephone number now along with the email address? Okay. My last note is that if you'd like to get recordings of any of the webinars, either tonight's if you didn't get to hear the whole thing, or if any of the other webinars you would like to listen in on those that we've done in the past, just send an email to the same email address, and we'd be glad to send links to you on those. Okay, and now the question bar is open, and feel free to type in any questions. I'm not getting a lot of questions here, which means one or two things, Greg. Either you did a fantastic job of explaining everything tonight, or everybody's falling asleep.
Well, maybe we should do a sound check. I do want to mention also that I am continuing this series to explain the other areas of the coin market that I'm going after. There are 5 specific areas that I'm looking for that I've, out of the millions of different types of coins, and those 5 specific areas as I mentioned from my research, were chosen for an exacting reason, and that is because they're the best. And we can't buy everything. We don't have the money to, nor do we want everything. We don't want all the millions of different things. We only want the best. We want the best because that's where the money is. The money's in the best. People all want the best. That's what goes up the most. History has proven the best always goes up the most, and that's what I'm focusing on. And we're seeking to build the best collection in the world of the best. If you'd like to be a part of that, please get a hold of me or Tom, and we can talk one-on-one and dialogue with you about how you can be involved in this. This is a group effort, but everybody holds their own individual coins. What I mean by group effort is through modern technology, we can maintain a photographic database of what everybody has so that we can build a collection, but yet all retain individual ownership so that you're free to buy and sell when you so desire, but we can still maintain a database so that we can try to work together to help people in the future. Any questions popping up? Tom, are you with me?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was repeating a question to you, but I forgot I was muted here. There's a question for Chris about how do you go about designing a portfolio? I know that's a big question, not something you can cover thoroughly in 5 minutes, but
well, actually, I can cover it in 30 seconds. It's quite simple. You tell me the budget you want to work with, and I'll tell you how I would assemble it.
Okay. All right, good. Now, Hung asked, are the fees associated with this group effort for storing and such? And there's no fees for storage because we don't store. You actually own your own coins. You keep and hold your own coins. But Greg, why don't you go ahead and elaborate on that?
Well, I just did. I just said that there's a group effort, and I just went through all that. So that you all hold your own individual coins. This is a group effort in terms of how we maintain a database, but everybody holds their own coins. I just went through all that, Tom.
Right, but they just asked the question, so obviously someone needed the answer, needed it elaborated on.
Well, is it possible that they asked the question before? Because I just spent a couple minutes going through that, so perhaps they typed it in before that. Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I'll say it again. We are maintaining a photographic database of everyone's individual coins so that we can have an idea to be able to market from the future, but everybody will hold their coins individually.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and wrap it up if you have any final comments, Greg.
Thank you all for listening, and I would look forward to the opportunity to speak with you one-on-one to have further input into this. So if you have some questions, if you have coins you'd like evaluated, or if you want gold or you would like to participate in the collection with us and you've got questions, please give Tom a call and let him know when you'd like to get together and we can discuss it. So if you have some questions and you'd like to know more about what we're talking about, please don't hesitate to ask, and I'm available to talk with you at length whenever it's convenient, so just let us know. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope that you will have the opportunity to listen in over the coming weeks as I explain more in detail. If you're new to this and don't have any background at all and what I've been talking about, you can request copies of the seminars I've done in the past that give some background to this, because this might be a bit confusing if you've not had any background. I do go into great detail to explain how the American coin market was modernized, the various steps that took place over the decades. So if you'd like to know more and understand how all that came together and why I believe it's going to happen in Europe, then email or call Tom, and he can get you the links to the earlier webinars that I've given on those subjects. So thank you all for your time in listening. I know that this is a difficult time over the dinner hour, and I appreciate your spending time with us tonight.
Okay, well, thank you, Greg. Thank you all for attending tonight. Good night. God bless you, and don't forget, this is only the second in this six-part series, so try to be here for every one of them over the next few weeks. Now, those of you that are coming on for the 8 o'clock, we'll see you in an hour.
Thank you very much for attending and listening. Night.